Okay, in addition to camping and hiking and bushcraft, one of the things I have gotten into in the last year is amateur radio, ham radio. So here's my setup. I've shown different pieces before, but I'm going to try and show maybe a whole setup. So that's the little folding table I always try and take. Little tripod chair, backpack there. I can put that Pelican 1500 case in, and this is my little EDC day pack, and there's my poncho and a bivvy and some water, first aid supplies, a little bit of food, all that kind of stuff. Little case for my Android tablet. Okay, here's the Pelican 1500. I just got that with my Yaesu radio, pair of headsets, power supply. My netbook computer is in there, so I can do data communications. Here's just a little extra little bag that has an inverter in it or whatever. This is my antenna and my coax in it. This is the bag that I put my 3-piece mast. So I use an homemade inverted V dipole, which I've shown before. So it's 3 sections 5 feet each of aluminum there. And then I have this 3-foot piece of oak that I have on hose clamps, and I use as a standoff to get away from the aluminum. I have 2 50-foot pieces of paracord there that I use as guylines. So I just do a girth hitch in there up at the top of the mast, and then I have 4 anchor points. Here's 4 heavy-duty stakes. I was using lighter stakes, just a little pop-up tent type stakes, and it wasn't holding it well. And then generally, depending on where I am and what I'm doing, I'll just throw this rubber ball, this racquetball up into the trees about 20 feet and pull the ends of my dipole up with some mason twine, and that's all I do. Now I'm in my yard right here, so I know the setup. And then over here is just kind of the beginning of the mast setup. So depending on what the ground is, I might just pound in this little piece of PVC, just kind of give me a ability to anchor that while the guy lines go up, just because with one person it's a little hard to get it all measured right. So I just use a rock, and again, the soil is pretty wet here. So that's one piece. And then for power, I can use a marine battery. I'll get about an hour and a half or so of use on it, depending on how much I'm transmitting. And then 50-foot extension cord, and I can see this is a pretty loud generator. It's just a little $100 generator. And there's my setup to put the generator in. So I'll step back for a minute there. If you go 50 feet away, it's not too bad. Now I'm blocking the sound to the neighbors there. I'm using a piece of styrofoam to block the sound to the neighbors. But here I am 50 feet away. You can see the noise isn't too bad. It's fine. Any shorter and it's too noisy to communicate really. Alright, so I'll show the setup when it's done, but that's my whole setup. I can basically go on a 5-mile hike with most of this gear. I'll probably leave the table, and but I need the mast. I could leave the mast. I've done it with the mast, kind of a hassle. Usually then I have to use the Alice pack frame. But definitely the Pelican box inside this knapsack, and then my day pack and my stool, and then I'll have to and the antenna, of course. I'll have to improvise everything else, and not the generator. Now the generator can go on the wheel cart there, but if you're on rough terrain, that little luggage cart isn't going to work. That would only work for pavement. So you'd have to somehow get yourself a power source. Now I do have a 12 amp hour battery that I can put in this kit. The Pelican box weighs about 25 pounds without the battery. Then my other supplies weigh about 10 pounds. So I'm at 35 pounds. Alright, talk to you later. Okay, part 1 was, basically make sure you have all your equipment and power source. So I got all my equipment and power source. Part 2 is lay out my antenna, scope it out. Again, I'm in my yard, so I basically know where to put everything, but this is about, I think 67 feet total is this antenna, so I need about 25 feet each way. So there's my center point. Of course, that's going to be my one end of my inverted V, and here's the other end. I'll show you this a little bit. So I got my antenna laid out on the ground, got my coax attached. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've put this up and forgot to attach the coax first before I pull up the center line. So I got some mason twine here and you know, tied off to the end of the antenna. Again, I just threw up this racquetball, you know, up about, you know, 15, 18 feet, something like that, up to the top of the tree. Now ideally I'd be away from more structures, but you know, it is what it is. This is the place in the yard I can do it. So the antenna raising is part 2, and then part 3 would of course be connecting the power, tuning the antenna, you know, setting up my station, doing some test calls, and then part 4, if I'm going to do data communications, again, me getting out my netbook and getting up the email software, connecting the sound card adapter. And because I cracked the screen on my laptop, I'm going to have to bring out a external monitor that I bought for 50 bucks, which I'm not happy with, but it'll work. Alright, so part 2, raising the antenna. Okay, do a little intermediate video here. So this is the top section of the mast. So that's my 3-foot standoff there and the 5-foot piece. And as I said before, I just use hose clamps on this mast, just temporarily anchored into there. And I use a girth hitch, and I got one piece of paracord with 2 taut line hitches, so that will give me 2 anchor points. Again, the stakes, and then here's my hank for the other one. So I got another 40 or 50 foot piece, and all nice and wrapped up neatly. And then I just put the girth hitch there. I got a hose clamp to keep it from sliding down. And I know this is about the right point to anchor this up, you know, 15 feet and pull it out. And then of course I have the taut line hitches to adjust it. The other thing is, just wanted to show you my homemade dipole. It's pretty jerry-rigged, no doubt about it, but all this is some 18 gauge copper stranded wire with some dowels that I put polyurethane on just to protect it from the water. Drilled some holes in it, measured it out properly. I got a SO239 connector and soldered it, and then I just anchor it with a piece of paracord to the top of this V right here. So got a little notch in my little V notch there in my center mast, and this is, you know, just some extra if I want to use a pulley on there or whatever, but I don't. And then I just raise that whole thing up. So figure I'd show that. There's better ways of doing it, but this works for me. It's worked for me for, you know, I probably had out at least 25, 30 times now, and I've never had an issue with it. Okay, step 3, got the antenna raised and the equipment set up. So here I am with my laptop. Like I said, my screen is shot, so I have to use this LCD monitor. And you know, I got my Pelican box, the Signal Link, the ASU 450D. I picked up this little fan that runs off of 5 volts, so that's kind of nice. I got to plug it into my computer. Right now, there's, you know, it's cool out, so there's no issue with heat in the box. But this is working okay. Try and do a little wind link. Haven't done that for quite a bit, so we'll see how that goes. Thanks for watching.